Hey there, welcome everybody to the regulation season finale of TXN Sports World. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we will catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we will hopefully have him back with us tomorrow night for a special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Regulation season finale of TXN Sports World. You know how we do it, like we've always done it the last several years. We do have one added caveat, though. In just a moment, good old MF Michael Fletcher will hit us up with our final Big Three basketball report. And oh boy, is he going out with a bang. Let me tell you, when it comes to the Big Three season, oh my goodness, the Big Three championship game between Three's Company and Bivouac. We'll let MF get his notes ready to go, and then we'll turn it over to him in just a moment. And then from there, we will do the bread and butter of our regulation season finales over the years. We will preview the college football season. Thing is, it's a little different this time around. The Pac-12 only has 2 teams in it, so we're not really going to do a Pac-12 preview. But we will preview the other power conferences, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, the SEC. And let me tell you, all of them are loaded. Let me tell you that right now. Loaded. And we'll also preview Notre Dame's upcoming season as well. And then in the main event, the NFL season. The NFL season starts in 2 weeks. We will preview that as well. And then we will put the bow on our regulation shows. And then starting next week, of course, the return of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. My God, I can't believe it's already time for another college football season. It feels like just yesterday we were celebrating Michigan winning the national championship back in January. But alas, here we are, another college football season on the horizon. And oh, by the way, we're going to give you a little sample of what you can expect on that show, because we're actually going to preview a game here tonight, Florida State and Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. That'll go down tomorrow afternoon. So there's the groundwork for tonight. Let's not waste any more time. I see good old MF Michael Fletcher is ready. So good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in, front and center. The 2024 Big Three basketball season has come to a close. And you want to talk about closing things out with a bang. My goodness, TD Garden. Whoa.
I think we can openly admit that this game may be the greatest Big Three final we've ever had.
Amen.
I mean, it's one thing when you get the top 2 teams at the end. Bivouac was the number 1 overall seed. Three's Company, the number 2 overall seed. So you had that final there that everything was going to be exciting. I don't think none of us was in store for the epicness that Boston was going to give us. I got to say, man, I mean, the last couple of years that we've done the Big Three finals, from London at the O2 to Sandals Resort that was in the Bahamas, these were excellent finals. This one may be the greatest of them all. So, we had an all-star game before we got there. Big team versus big team 3. Big team big won the game 50-48. And that game, that all-star game, very competitive, very emotional, driven to the very end. And then we had a celebrity game. We don't really need to talk about that game. It was probably the best player, some of the great young talent. They did a very good job. A nice little appetizer. The All-Star game absolutely was a very good lead into the main event. That was the Big Three championship game. And then we got to the final. We got to that final match, the big game, Bivouac versus Three's Company. And Bivouac wins the title 50-47, taking down Three's Company in what was undoubtedly, probably, like I said, one of the greatest finals I've ever seen. And everybody knows I've been doing the Big Three final since the beginning, since season 1, back in Vegas at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, when Trilogy went wire to wire undefeated and won the trophy. Now, this one started out dominant. Bivouac had a 26-13 lead in the first half, and you're thinking, "Oh, Bivouac is on their way, and they're gonna blow Three's Company right out of the building." Oh no! Michael Beasley proved why he was the MVP of the Big Three this year. 28 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists in the final with 2 3-pointers and a block shot. He refused to let Three's Company lose the championship. And it got crazy. Mario Chalmers had 9 points. Nessie Core had 6. And they was trying to get into it. But it was the Green brothers. Garland Green with 13 points. Corey Brewer was a demon on the defensive side with a crucial steal at the closing moments. Gave it to Gerald Green. And Gerald Green wins the championship on a miraculous shot that got the magic number of 50. Tripod confetti flies, balloons falling from the rafters at TD Garden, and Bivouac wins the title. It was without a doubt one of the best games I've ever done in my Big Three career, and I've done a number of games. I've been fortunate to go to a Big Three basketball event at Providence few years ago. Dude, the crowd in Boston, I gotta give you love, because you guys were energized. You were amazing. Like, even Ice Cube was saying this is what the Big Three was all about. And Boston, you were the perfect host for the championship game. You represented. Hell, I cannot believe this, but Michael Beasley went to the line, and you actually had MVP chants in the arena going. I was like, wow, this is real. This is electric. I was feeling it. I cannot say anything bad. I'm blessed I had Michael Bullock. You know, he's a Bostonian through and through. He loves his Boston sports teams. He was my color analyst for the game. He did an incredible job. Anthony, you were lights out being our sideline reporter. I got to give you and Kaiser Butler a lot of credit. Thank you for doing it. I know you don't do Big Three. I know you don't do this. But it was such an honor to have you working the sidelines for the Big Three final. You did an amazing job, bro.
Oh, man. That means a lot. And I appreciate the compliment there, MF. I mean, absolutely. I mean, anytime MF asks me to do anything, you know, or anybody asks me to do something, of course I'm going to be there to do it. You know that. So even if it's something I generally don't do, I mean, absolute honor. And all I can say is what a game. I mean, from what looked like it was going to be a dud, to a 5-star classic in one foul swoop. I mean, man, I usually don't watch Big Three during the regular season, but I watch the playoffs, and I got to tell you, Three's Company versus Enemies in the semifinal and this championship game, unbelievable. And
yes.
I think I may have to start watching Big Three a little more. I think I might be taking this a little more seriously going into next season. So,
well, I hope so. Because it's and I get it, because it's a lot of games. Normally it's
And
6
it's on
games
X.
a week. Sometimes it's on Twitter. Sometimes we have it on CBS. And it's tough. It's difficult because we're trying to maneuver things around. I remember one year we had it on Triller. Fight TV had it for free. Then the next year they moved it to YouTube. They had it for a full season. And the thing is that, like you said, it's a lot of games. It's 6 games a night. So for me, I only get to do 3 games, and then I let the professionals do the final 3. I only do the games exclusively on CBS. So that was the thing. I was doing two games, 3 games a week, and then I was done. But once it really got going, yeah, absolutely. I always stuck around to watch the games, watch it to the very end. Sometimes I'm out of there by 9 or 10 o'clock at night. That's the commitment I have for the big 3. I gotta give credit to Ice Cube, to Clyde Drexler, who's the commissioner, and everybody who's involved in the big 3. This was amazing. This was awesome. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations to Gary Payton and Bivouac for winning the championship. And a tip of the cap to Michael Cooper, to Mario Chalmers, to the MVP, to Michael Beasley, and all of Three's Company on an incredible season. These 2 teams were not even in the playoffs last year. Bivouac was the worst team in the league, and now they are the champions of the Big 3 for the first time ever. I mean, it is unbelievable what the story is. And now the big announcement that comes out of this is that Bivouac does not get to lose any of their players. So the team you just saw is the team they're going to have next year. Because as champions, you do not lose any players on that squad. So the 5 guys who are on that team stays intact. Everybody else goes back into a pool, and then we start drafting players, except for the captains. So Michael Beasley, Mario Chalmers, they will be captains of Three's Company going into next year. The other 3 players, now they're in a lottery. Now they get thrown into a draft pool. So we'll find out how Three's Company is going to create their team going into next year. But at least Three's Company has a great nucleus with Michael Cooper as your head coach, with your captains, Mario Chalmers, and the MVP of the league, Michael Beasley. And I think they also get to keep Nessie Core as well. And then they just have to fill out the final 2 spots. So, yeah. Anthony, what a season. A season to remember. Season 7, Big 3 in the books. What a final in Boston, man. They call Boston the city of champions, TD Garden, the new Boston Garden, the banners of the Celtics, the banners of the Bruins, and we saw a banner night in the finals of the Big 3. Man, it was unbelievable.
Amen. I mean, that was an experience, I will tell you. And like I said, from a dud to a 5-star classic right before our eyes, Three's Company almost nearly had it. I mean, they were down 48-47. They had the ball, and they turned it over. And that turnover, ended up being costly.
Corey Brewer with a big steal was able, and there was a scrum. If you remember, there was a scrum. The ball was loose, and then Gerald Green got his hands on it, and then just did an acrobatic shot because the shot clock was running out. He just prayer hoped, and it went home, and they won the title.
Amazing. And Gerald Green, wow. I mean,
yeah,
it's like he never left Boston. I mean, to do what he did in that game, I mean, if anything, I don't know was he voted the MVP of that game? If he wasn't, he should have been.
He was voted MVP of the final. Yes, Gerald Green
as he
was
should have
named
been.
the MVP of the championship game. Yes, he did.
Absolutely, and well deserved. And normally I would be a little upset about it, but you know what? I mean, yes, I wanted Three's Company to win because of my love for the classic TV show. Of course, that's one of my all time favorite shows. Three's Company, the original Three's Company, with my boy John Ritter and all them. But I mean, if it wasn't going to be Three's Company, I'm glad it could be the team that's name is so fun to say, Bivouac. And I've always made the joke that it sounds like some software like some software tech firm or something like that. Like you could use that in a movie or something. But nonetheless, congratulations to Bivouac, the 2024 Big Three basketball champions, and it'll be back next year. I'm almost certain of it. And when it does come back, good old MF Michael Fletcher will be ready to go for some more Big Three reports at this time next year. So can't wait to do it all again. And speaking of doing things again, college football is back, ladies and gentlemen. It all starts tomorrow with, what they call week 0. And let me just say it like this. Real, actual college football is back. The flurry of the transfer portal and NFL draft declarations is well behind us. Spring practice and summer workouts are nothing but a memory, and fall camp is drifting into the calendar's rearview mirror because real, actual college football is here again. And week 0 serves as the much appreciated appetizer to the 2024 campaign, providing 4 spaced out games. The headliner, the first one, the number 10 Florida State Seminoles taking on their ACC counterparts, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, from Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. And before we give you our picks for that game, we are going to do what we always do. Things are going to be a little different, like I said, because we're only going to be talking about the ACC. We're going to talk about the Big 10. We're going to talk about the Big 12. And we're also going to talk about, actually, it's going to be the Big 12, then the Big 10, and then the SEC. And that is that. So let's start it off with the ACC. And my goodness, it is loaded now. There used to be like a combined 12 to 14 teams spread out over 2 divisions. Oh no, it's all one conference. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17 teams in the ACC now. And I am going to go and I'm going to rank it from the bottom to the top. And that's how I'm going to do it. So I got Virginia finishing last, Stanford, and here is the teams in the ACC now. The Clemson Tigers, the Florida State Seminoles, the North Carolina State Wolfpack, the Louisville Cardinals, the Virginia Tech Hokies, the Miami Hurricanes, the North Carolina Tar Heels, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, the Pittsburgh Panthers, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, the Duke Blue Devils. Those are the originals. We got some new blood in here now, such as the SMU Mustangs. Of course, the Boston College Eagles in there as well, the Syracuse Orange in there, the Virginia Cavaliers in there, and we have some other new additions, not just SMU. We've also got the Cal Golden Bears, the California Golden Bears, and the Stanford Cardinal. So here it is. Virginia's last, 17th. I got Stanford 16, California 15, Syracuse 14, Boston College 13, SMU 12, Duke 11, Wake Forest 10, Pittsburgh 9, Georgia Tech 8, North Carolina 7, Miami 6, Virginia Tech 5, Louisville 4, NC State 3, Florida State 2, and I am going with Clemson to win the ACC. And here's why. Clemson's projected improvement on offense barely nudges the Tigers ahead of the Seminoles. But don't sleep on NC State angling for the second 10-win season in program history and fast-rising Virginia Tech. Miami and North Carolina have the talent to surge past, 8, perhaps projections of 8 wins or so. though the Hurricanes could just as easily disappoint as we've seen. And the league adds in new members, SMU, California, and Stanford. I got Clemson winning the ACC. So, MF, this is just an example of how loaded these power conferences are going to be now. 17 teams now in the ACC, including the 3 new additions of SMU, Cal, and Stanford. 12-team playoff. I can honestly say this is the most excited I've ever been for a college football season.
Dude, this is wild, man. When we heard about the radical reformation of this, it really started going crazy, and we're like, what is going on in this? Because we had so many moving parts, interchangeable parts, that honestly and truthfully, I felt so sorry for the Pac-12 because they got gutted so bad. It's not even funny, guys. Watch what do you want to know what happened to the Pac-12? They got absolutely nuked by so many conferences. And we're going to get into them tonight. ACC rated them. Big 10 rated them. Big 12 rated them. So, like you said, Anthony, only 2 teams are still standing in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is practically dead in the water. But that's besides the point. This was absolutely insane what's going on. And it's crazy what's really been playing. And we actually got even another nuke coming up that we need to get into, and we'll talk about it when we get into the Big 12, because there might be somebody coming from the Big East coming to the Big 12. But we'll get into it. We'll get into it. So, and this is just rumors. So we can't take anything for granted, but ESPN's reported it. I think we need to address it. But yeah, to me, I partially disagree. I'm actually going to say Florida State wins this, and I think Florida State wins it, but I do got Clemson second. As far as the rest of the others go, I'm not even going to attempt to even predict the rest because good luck. But no, I got Florida State winning. I got Clemson second, and I think these 2 teams will be the teams that are going to battle it out for the ACC title when they get to Charlotte. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
MF, it's only fitting that you lead off on our next conference. It's your conference. It's the Big 10.
Woo-hoo!
Yes, sir. Let me do a quick head count here. 2, 4, 6, 8.
It should
10,
be at least
12,
6.
14,
I think it's
16,
like 16 or 18.
18.
Yeah, 18.
We got 18 teams.
Woo-hoo!
18 teams in
Good
this conference.
freaking Lord.
In no particular order. Of course, you got the originals. You got Michigan. You got Ohio State. Yeah, your reigning, defending, undisputed college football playoff national champions, the Michigan Wolverines.
Thank you. I was waiting for that. Thank you. I was waiting for that. I would have been really mad if you would have left that out.
Oh, yes. Michigan, your reigning champions. Of course, you can't forget about the Ohio State University Buckeyes, the Penn State Nittany Lions, the Iowa Hawkeyes, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the Wisconsin Badgers, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, the Maryland Terrapins, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, the Michigan State Spartans, the Northwestern Wildcats, the Illinois Fighting Illini, the Indiana Hoosiers, and the Purdue Boilermakers. And ladies and gentlemen, in this conference, we have 4 new additions, and they are all massive newbies. The Oregon Ducks are now in the Big 10. Oh, it gets better. The USC Trojans are now in the Big 10. MF, the very team that your Michigan Wolverines defeated for the national championship last January, they are now in the Big 10. The Washington Huskies. And we were also going to add the UCLA Bruins to that mix as well. So, all right, MF, 18 teams in the Big Ten. Those 4 big new additions, Oregon, USC, Washington, and UCLA joining the Big Ten party. And of course, I know you're still on that high from January, but a lot of changes in Michigan, of course. Jim Harbaugh is out. Sharon Moore is in. Not a lot of people are high on them. A lot of people, unfortunately, are saying this could be the year Ohio State takes it back.
Well, it's possible, but you got Oregon there now. Yes. That's a problem. That's a major problem. Penn State is better. USC is looking for something. Michigan will be there. I agree. I don't think Michigan's going to be the one that's going to win it all, not this time around. But I understand why everybody is saying Ohio State, because for the last 2 years, they've been hearing it, how Michigan is better than you, how they've earned it, how they've beaten you, how they've done all this stuff. And 2 years in a row, Michigan not only beat Ohio State in the big game, but beat them handily in the big game. In that rivalry of Michigan versus Ohio State, the last 2 years, Michigan has won that game. And trust me, Ohio State fans are itching to get their hands on the Wolverines again. So there's that dynamic. But look who you got from the Pac-12 coming in. Oregon, USC, UCLA. I mean, just Oregon and USC alone are like, yo, wait a minute. What are these 2 teams doing in here? And then you got, like you said, the national runner-up, Washington. They got an axe to grind. And oh, by the way, Michigan and Washington are going to face off. They're going to play each other.
That's October 5 in Seattle.
It's in Seattle. So you got that matchup. You got that fight about to go down. And then think about the big matches we're going to get. I think Oregon and Michigan are going to go at it at some point. And I think Ohio State is going to play USC. So you're going to have these. It's going to feel like every week there's going to be certain games that you're going to feel like this would be Rose Bowl worthy matchups. Think about it. When you get Ohio State versus USC, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State versus UCLA. These are matches you would normally see on New Year's Day in Pasadena. And they're going to be in the Big Ten Conference. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. All right. My prediction. Oregon wins the Big Ten. I think they have what it takes to win it all. Yes, I'll put Ohio State there. I could even see Ohio State making the playoffs. Remember, it's 12 teams now. Mm-hmm. It's not 8. It's not 4. It's expanded to 12. That means the door is open that you could get more teams in there. So obviously, if you win your conference, you're automatically locked into the top 4. Then the final 8 is going to be at large. So the final 8 is basically who are the teams that are going to be good enough that's going to get an at large to get into the tournament. Those are the games that the 5 through 12 is going to be very important, because the 5 through 12, they play in campuses. That's university games. So that even makes this thing even more crazier. So the automatic is going to go to Oregon. I do believe in my heart that Ohio State, and yes, I will say Michigan gets back into the college football playoff, representing the Big Ten Conference. Penn State has a chance to get in there. USC has a chance to get in there. I definitely agree with that. Maybe even Iowa might get in there because these are the teams that are ranked right now. But those are the teams that I do believe at the beginning that could get in there. Is there a sleeper there? Maybe Nebraska. Nebraska could be a sleeper. Matt Rule's now the head coach. And if you've been watching what they've been doing, they might turn some heads. So keep an eye on Nebraska as a sleeper. So is Purdue. Purdue is always a sleeper, and Iowa. So, Anthony, oh my goodness. I was like a kid in the candy store when I saw Oregon, UCLA, USC coming to this conference. Dude, if Michigan and Oregon face off, me and Eric Carrier are going to war. Two Dolphins are going to war at each other.
Oh, they are going to play. They are playing. Oregon, Michigan in the Big House on November 2nd.
Oh, Lordy.
Oh, that's plenty more. There's plenty more where that came from.
And I'll tell you this. Normally, and everybody knows when we do commentary, we break away. Me and Michael Bullock just does Big Ten only. We do the Big Ten because we're both Michigan guys. I'm the lead commentator. He's my color analyst. The only time me and Florio gets together is literally the college football playoff and the national championship.
Yes.
Because Anthony has his Notre Dame commitments, and I don't think you have another conference. I think you just do Notre Dame, if I remember correctly.
I do Notre Dame, and it's me and our dear friend Brian Keenan.
Yes. So I can't wait. Big Ten is going to be so insane this year, man. I cannot, dude. What a time to be alive for me and Michael Bullock, man. We're gonna have the time of our lives, especially with the Big Ten this year. It's yours, kid. It's gonna be nuts.
And you have Oregon winning it.
Oregon winning. Ohio State. Ohio State would be my number 2 pick.
Fair enough. All right. Let's go over some of the notable games now that MF brought it up when it comes to the Big Ten. Of course. Oh, here you go. Right off the bat. USC and Michigan in the Big House, September 21st. Circle that day on your calendar, MF. September 21, USC, Michigan in the Big House. Circle. I could say that there are so many other games I could tell you to circle. October 5, Michigan and Washington, the rematch for the national championship. October 12th. Listen to these matchups. Penn State and USC on October 12th in the Coliseum. Ohio State and Oregon on October 12th in Eugene. At Autzen Stadium. And then from there, oh boy. And like I said, Oregon and Michigan, November 2nd in the Big House. And on that same day, Ohio State and Penn State in Happy Valley, just to name a few. And of course, the headliner, of course, Michigan and Ohio State, the game, Thanksgiving weekend, November 30th. So, oh my goodness, this conference is going to be nutty. Let me tell you, nutty. That's what this conference is going to be. All right. As far as who I have winning the Big Ten, I'll break it down. Purdue last, Indiana. Purdue is 18, Indiana 17, Illinois 16, UCLA 15, Northwestern 14, Michigan State 13, Minnesota 12, Washington 11, Maryland 10, Rutgers 9, Wisconsin 8, Nebraska 7, Iowa 6, USC 5, Michigan will finish 4th. I got Penn State in 3rd, and I got it between Ohio State and Oregon, and rightfully so. That could literally go either way. It really can. There is terrific depth through the top 7 or 8 teams, a group that includes a rejuvenated Nebraska under Coach Matt Rule. But the story of the Big Ten is right at the top. While the conference should get at least 2 teams in the playoff field, the race between Ohio State and Oregon for the Big Ten crown should be one of the best in the FBS. Penn State and Michigan are also in the mix, though the defending champs are a bit of an unknown, given the program's many changes since January. Most notably, of course, Jim Harbaugh out, Sharon Moore as the head coach now. And JJ McCarthy, he's out too. And he's literally out because his NFL season ended before it even started. So, our best wishes to him, no question. But I got to give a slight edge to Ohio State. But would I be surprised if Oregon won the Big Ten? I absolutely would not. But rest assured, it will come down to Ohio State and Oregon. And I think whoever wins that game on October 12th in Eugene, that team's going to win the Big Ten. That's just how I feel. Let's move on to the Big 12 now. And, of course, another massive overhaul. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 teams in the Big 12. Of course, you got your original teams, such as Kansas State, the Kansas State Wildcats, the Kansas Jayhawks, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, the Iowa State Cyclones, the TCU Horned Frogs, the West Virginia Mountaineers, the Texas Tech Red Raiders, the BYU Cougars, the Baylor Bears, and we got massive additions. The Utah Utes. Utah's in the Big 12 now. The Knights of Central Florida are in the Big 12. The Arizona Wildcats are in the Big 12. The Colorado Buffaloes, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, he's now in the Big 12. The Houston Cougars are in the Big 12. The Cincinnati Bearcats are in the Big 12. And the Arizona State Sun Devils are in the Big 12. I got Arizona State finishing 16, Cincinnati 15, Houston 14, Baylor 13, Colorado 12, BYU 11, Texas Tech 10, West Virginia 9, TCU 8, Arizona 7, Iowa State 6, Oklahoma State 5, Kansas 4, Central Florida 3, Kansas State 2. But as far as who I think is going to win the Big 12, I got to go with the Utah Utes. The league has a vastly different look with the addition of several former Pac-12 members. One, Utah is the preseason favorite. Kansas State has a new quarterback in Avery Johnson, but the same benchmark of at least 8 wins in the regular season. UCF and Kansas are just behind the Utes and Wildcats, as are Oklahoma State and Iowa State. And what about Colorado? The Buffaloes will be better in Deion Sanders' second year, but not quite good enough to get 6 wins in my book. And I forgot to give you my notes on the Big Ten. No, I'm sorry. I did do that. All right. I'm sorry. I did. Okay. I'm so excited. I can't even think straight right now. It's great. All right. So with that being said, I'm going with Utah to win the Big 12. So MF, the new and improved Big 12, I got Utah winning it. What says you?
I agree. I think Utah is going to win it. I do believe that they definitely are the best team, at least in this crop. I do believe that it's going to get very interesting once you get into the other part. But I think Colorado will do fine. I think Cincinnati will do good. Baylor, who's one of the original in the Big 12, I think is really going to be doing very well as well. But a lot of these newer teams, like Arizona, I think could really benefit. We'll see how TCU does. Remember, TCU was in the national championship game a couple of years ago, playing for the title. So I mean, could they have another magical run in them? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I agree. I think Utah's going to win it. I think they're going to be the one that's going to win this one going away. So really nothing more to say. Anthony, I believe next is the SEC. And if that's the case, oh my Lanta.
Oh, yes, the SEC. You thought the Big Ten was loaded? The SEC maybe even more loaded. Goodness gracious. Of course, you've got your originals, such as the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs, the Alabama Crimson Tide, the LSU Tigers, the Ole Miss Rebels, the Rebels of Ole Miss, the Tennessee Volunteers, the Missouri Tigers, the Texas A&M Aggies, the Kentucky Wildcats, the Auburn Tigers, the Florida Gators, the South Carolina Gamecocks, the Arkansas Razorbacks, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. We have 2 new additions in the SEC. The Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma Sooners. What? What? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The Red River is coming to the SEC?
Yep.
Oh. Goodness gracious.
Yep.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. We got another 16 NMF. We got 16 teams. This may be you thought the Big Ten was loaded. This one is just as loaded, if not more. Texas, Oklahoma, the only new additions. Imagine this, Texas and Oklahoma with the likes of Georgia, Bama, LSU.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on.
And it's going to be nuts. I mean, are you flipping kidding me? Georgia, Texas and Oklahoma, the starlings, the starters, the original members of the Big 8 and the Big 12 got poached and went to the SEC. And this started a whole bunch of things. This is what started the realignment, folks. These 2 teams jumping to the SEC started a domino effect that created the madness we have right now. So, first off, and think about this. You want to talk about why the SEC is the best conference in college football? Think about this. Bama, Georgia, LSU, Memphis, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Texas. 9 teams ranked in the top 25. The most of them, about more than half of them, are ranked in the top 15 or higher. The only 2 that are not in the top 15, Texas A&M at number 20, Oklahoma at number 16. They just missed the top 15. 7 of these other teams are in the top 15 of the first poll in the college football rankings. 4 of them are in the top 10. 4 of them are in the top 10. Ole Miss, number 6. Bama, number 5. Texas, number 4. And Georgia, the number 1 team in the nation. Now, I know a lot of people are like, wait a minute. That should be Michigan. Michigan should be number 1. They're the national champions. What the heck is going on? Look, we don't have no say in the polls. We don't have a horse in that race. We're just guys just doing our jobs, and we're going to just bring you the coverage as is. But Georgia is a team that a lot of people were saying that is going to be better than what they were last year. Remember, Georgia got left out because they got their butts kicked by Alabama in the SEC championship game, and that cost them a spot to play for the college football playoff. They got knocked out because they lost to Bama in the SEC, and it wasn't even close. So Georgia, oh, you want to talk about revenge tour? Oh boy, they're at it. They're going after everybody and everyone. You've got to watch out for the Mighty Georgia Bulldogs. They are going to be barking. They're going to be biting. They are going to be mad. Who knows? They might even take a bite out of Pat McAfee after he disrespected them at the SEC championship game during game day. You remember that, Florio? How McAfee trolled the daylights out of the Georgia fans? Oh, absolutely. They did not forget about that either. They did not forget about that either. They were pissed. So, I'm going to say this. Georgia's going to win it. I got Texas right behind them. I think Bama's going to take a step back. I think losing their head coach, Nick Saban, is going to hurt them. I don't think Bama's going to be, they're going to be good, but I don't see them being much of a threat this year. As far as the rest goes, God, I don't know how to go with the rest of the way. I think, Anthony, I'll let you do that. But I would say Georgia and Texas might be your SEC championship game. I think that's going to be the game at the Dome at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. But I got Georgia winning. I think Georgia is going to be the SEC champions when this is all said and done. Like I said, it's a revenge tour for Georgia. They felt like they got robbed because of the fact that they didn't get the job done. They let that game get away in the SEC championship game, and because of that, they got left out. They are pissed. They are mad, and they're going to be taking it out on everybody this year. Revenge tour for the Made in Georgia Bulldogs. Watch out. They're barking, and they're going to be biting quite a few teams this year.
Okay, so from bottom to top, I got Vanderbilt finishing 16th. I got Mississippi State 15, Arkansas 14, South Carolina 13, Florida 12, Auburn 11, Kentucky 10, Texas A&M 9, Missouri 8, Oklahoma 7, Tennessee 6, Ole Miss 5, LSU 4, Alabama 3, Texas 2, and yes, MF, I do agree. I have the Made in Georgia Bulldogs also winning the SEC. Georgia, Texas, Alabama, LSU, Mississippi, Tennessee, Oklahoma. We could keep going. It's obvious the SEC is the strongest conference in the FBS, a few steps ahead of even the very impressive Big Ten. While the Bulldogs are the preseason favorite, there's little room separating teams in this top group. Down the conference standings, Texas A&M is picked to get back into bowl play under their new coach, Mike Elko. Auburn is pegged for a rebound in Hugh Freeze's second year, and Florida is expected to struggle to get to 6 wins against a brutal schedule. And I mean brutal, let me tell you. So I got Georgia winning the SEC. I could not agree with MF more. So now let's get into my team, of course, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Last season, they went 10-3, and they won the Sun Bowl with a dominant performance against Oregon State. Notre Dame ever so slightly improved in its second season under their coach, Marcus Freeman, finishing 10-3 after concluding 2022 with a 9-4 record. The pressure is mounting in year 3 for Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish to take the next step and secure a spot in the 12-team playoff. But there are plenty of reasons to be optimistic about their chances. One could argue that Notre Dame is stronger than any team on its schedule, and the Fighting Irish boast one of the best defenses in the country. Once again, Notre Dame will rely on an ACC transfer at quarterback with Duke's Riley Leonard stepping into the role. Under new offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, who played a key role in transforming Jaden Daniels into a Heisman Trophy winner at LSU, Leonard will need to improve as a passer to help this team reach its goals. Their biggest strength is their elite defense. Notre Dame's defense has stars at all 3 levels. And Notre Dame also fields the nation's 6th best defensive line and 3rd best secondary. The biggest weakness, will Riley Leonard take the next step as a passer? While certainly a capable runner, Riley Leonard has some work to do as a passer. He struggled with accuracy throughout his career and has never earned a 70 passing grade in a season. That'll need to change if he's going to become the NFL quarterback many expect him to be. And with that, let's take a look at the schedule for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It starts on Saturday, August 31st, on the road. The first ABC Saturday night game of the week against the Texas A&M Aggies at Kyle Field in College Station. Then they open the home schedule at Notre Dame Stadium on September 7th against Northern Illinois. September 14th, they will be going on the road to Purdue, and I can confirm that game will be the Big Ten on CBS game of the week right there. September 21st, back at home and then they're gonna have a long homestand at Notre Dame Stadium. September 21, they will play host to Miami, Miami University. Then they will be hosting the Louisville Cardinals on September 28th. They will have a bye week on October 5th. October 12th, the Stanford Cardinal come into Notre Dame Stadium. October the 19th, they will be on the road against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. October 26th, they will take on the Navy Midshipmen at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So get ready for that one. And then, and just to clarify, it's the Miami University on September 21st. It's not the Miami Hurricanes. It's the Miami of Ohio Redhawks, just to clarify. And then after the Navy game on November 2nd, they will have their second bye. And then circle this game on your calendar. November 9th, prime time, under the lights at Notre Dame Stadium. The Florida State Seminoles are coming in the Notre Dame Stadium. And then November 16th, it will be Senior Day. The Virginia Cavaliers coming into Notre Dame Stadium. And then November the 23rd, they will meet Army, and they are going to be doing it at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, just like they did back in 2010. And then the season finale, November the 30th, Thanksgiving weekend, at USC in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. As I look at this schedule here, Texas, I'll tell you right now, Texas A&M is a trap game as far as I'm concerned. I think A&M is a trap game. But I do think Notre Dame will eke it out. I don't think they'll have any trouble with Northern Illinois. I think they can beat Purdue. I think they can definitely beat Miami of Ohio. They got revenge on their minds against Louisville. I think they can win that one. I think they can beat Stanford. I like them against Georgia Tech. I like them against Navy. I mean, all these games are winnable, but there are two games that I am concerned about. November 9th at home against Florida State, and the other November 30th at USC in the Coliseum. Those are the only two games I'm worried about. The other games, I think Notre Dame can win them all. Florida State and USC are the ones that I am the utmost concerned about, and rightfully so. If they can win at least one or both, if they can win one of those, but then again, even if they lose them both, remember it's a 12-team field.
I think 2 losses will be good enough to get Notre Dame in. I honestly think you're right. I think if Notre Dame loses the game against Florida State and against USC, as long as they are dominant with all the other games, I still got Notre Dame going in. So yeah, I actually, as a matter of fact, I'll even go as far to say I do believe Notre Dame will get into the college football playoff because of the 12 teams now. I think they get in. I think they'll be in that maybe 5, 6, 7 range. I think they'll be in the upper tier where they actually will get a home game. So they might be playing at Notre Dame Stadium in their playoff game. I would even go as far to say that.
I would love to see that myself.
Because remember, top 4 is for the conference champions. Obviously, unless Notre Dame goes undefeated, then they would get the number 1 spot or one of the top 4 spots. But other than that, I just don't see a path where they'll get top 4. But I do believe 5 through 8 is definitely plausible for Notre Dame, and that would guarantee them at least a home game.
So I'm sure you heard the schedule, MF. So
yes.
So you feel the same way I
got them winning. I got them winning over A&M, winning over Northern Illinois. Purdue, that's a win. Miami of Ohio is a win. Louisville is a win. Stanford's a win. Georgia Tech is a win. Navy is a win. I do have you losing to Florida State. That, I believe that is a loss. Virginia's a win. Army's a win. And because it's at the Coliseum, I believe you guys are going to lose that last game against USC. If that is correct, that's only 2 losses to your name. Notre Dame is playing in the playoffs.
Yep, so 10-2 should be good enough to get them.
That will get them through, yes.
All right, so I agree. So we shall wait and see what happens. 10-2 at the absolute worst, 11-1 at the absolute best. That's how I feel. So we'll wait and see. So one last college of football, one last piece of college football business before we move on to the NFL, and that is we actually have a game to get into. It's tomorrow afternoon at high noon on ESPN. The number 10 Florida State Seminoles will be squaring off against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets from Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. And it will be Joe Tessitore, along with Jesse Palmer and Katie George. They will be on the call for this one. Florida State is opening up as a 10.5 point favorite. So the revenge tour kicks off across the pond for Florida State and brings a meaningful opponent right away. Georgia Tech returns a bulk of its offense in 2024, led by dual threat quarterback Haynes King. He'll probably make several turnover-worthy throws, and Florida State's defense should capitalize on a couple of them. Still, his versatility is dangerous and figures to keep Georgia Tech in the game. Opening the season with a comfortable victory would be ideal for Florida State, of course. A resounding win would be reassuring as new quarterback DJ Uiagalelei takes command of a retooled offense. Knowing the context of the tilt, however, a tight finish is reasonable. And besides, all ACC wins count the same. So I do have Florida State winning, and I think they will eke it out. I'm going to say 27-20, but I would not be surprised if they end up winning it in a romp like Notre Dame did when Notre Dame smashed Navy there a year ago. So, but I'll take a chance on a close game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a smash job. But either way, I got Florida State winning, but my projected score is 27-20 for now. So MF, Florida State, Georgia Tech kicking it off week 0 in Dublin, Ireland.
I kind of feel like it's going to be more of a bigger blowout. I actually do believe it'll be like a 2 to 3 touchdown margin here, but I do believe Florida State is going to come off looking like that team that's going to be very dangerous. You know, Florida State was that team that nobody wanted it to play a year ago, and there was just some unfortunate mishaps towards the end that cost them an opportunity. I just believe Florida State is retooled. They're hungrier, and I really think that they're really going to show the nation that the Seminoles are back and that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So I got Florida State winning and winning pretty comfortably. I would say more like a 38-17 type score, to be very honest with you, Anthony. So I send it back to you.
All right, MF. We're done with college. Now let's get to the NFL. And the NFL season, of course, starts on Thursday night, September the 5th. MF and I will have it. Our game of the week for week number 1, the rematch of last season's AFC Championship game, the Baltimore Ravens squaring off against the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. And that's when it all starts. We'll have a game in Brazil on Friday, September the 6th. The next night, exclusively on Peacock, the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. And then the remaining slate of week number 1. Of course, Sunday Night Football, you got the LA Rams against the Detroit Lions. And Monday Night Football, the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll get into all that in a couple of weeks when we start with the NFL show. But for right now, let's get into the preview of the 2024 NFL season. And we're going to go from... Now, I read a consensus. I did a little research earlier, and I came across a consensus where the experts ranked the divisions from the best to the worst. And we're going to go from worst to best. The division that came in at number 8, believe it or not, was the AFC West. So
all right,
we will start with the AFC West. You know who's in that division by now. So, and besides, this is the easiest division to pick anyway.
Yeah.
It's Kansas City. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. The unfathomable finally happened last year. The Chiefs went under their win total for the first time since Andy Reid took over in Kansas City way back in 2013. And they promptly won the AFC West and then went on to win the Super Bowl again. Naturally, now Kansas City is trying for a three-peat. And in order to bolster the offense, Andy Reid and general manager Brett Veach added Hollywood Brown in free agency and Xavier Worthy in the first round of the draft. Patrick Mahomes now has some actual vertical threats who will pair perfectly with Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice, eating up underneath. Losing L'Jarius Sneed on defense hurts for sure, but this unit has quietly been awesome the last few years and should not drop off much. Steve Spagnuolo deserves a ton of credit for helping develop some excellent young picks, and Veach as well for finding it and retaining most of it. I could see the Chiefs not putting their foot on the gas all season to save up for the playoffs, or maybe they just smash everyone on offense to let people know. But I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning the AFC West. I had the Los Angeles Chargers finishing second. I got the Denver Broncos finishing third, and the Las Vegas Raiders finishing fourth in the basement. So that's my thoughts on the AFC West. MF, your thoughts?
Agreed with everything. I do believe that the Chiefs will win the division and win pretty comfortably. I do believe the Chargers are going to be a major threat, though. I think the Chargers, with Jim Harbaugh as the new head coach, and I do believe Harbaugh is really going to have the Chargers buzzing this year. I'll even go as far as to say they get one of the wild card spots as well. So I believe that's going to happen. I do got the Broncos in third, and I got the Raiders in fourth. But I do believe Kansas City will win the division. But I do believe the Los Angeles Chargers will get one of the one of the three wild card spots, I should say, and be in the playoffs this year.
Okay, so let's move on to the division that came in at number 7, and that division was the NFC South. You know who's in that division? Mm-hmm. MF, we all know last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers came out of nowhere to win this division. Yep. They are definitely favorites to win it again, but keep an eye on the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, not only am I keeping an eye on the Atlanta Falcons, I got Atlanta winning the division. Yes, I got Atlanta winning it. I think what they've been doing quietly has been really good, and now they just added Matthew Judon, and they just added Justin Simmons. That is a scary tandem on the defensive side of the football. That is to me, that put it over the top. I got Atlanta winning the division. I got Tampa second. I got New Orleans third. And I got Carolina. I think it's Carolina coming in last. So that is my prediction. Atlanta 1, New Orleans 2, Tampa 3. No, I'm sorry. Atlanta 1, Tampa 2, New Orleans 3, Carolina 4. It is yours, Anthony.
And no wild cards coming out of it?
Unfortunately, no wild cards.
Okay, we agree. I agree with you too. I also have Atlanta winning the division. And why not? It's hard not to be excited about the Falcons this year. Last year's team was a lot of frustration with the top 10 offensive weapons on the roster largely underused. Now Zach Robinson comes to town along with pricey free agent Kirk Cousins, and you can hear the excitement when guys like Drake London and Bijan Robinson talk about this offense. Kyle Pitts should be in line for the season everyone's been waiting on as well. The only way this offense fails is a Cousins injury, and Atlanta drafted Michael Penix Jr. 8th overall, giving it some insurance on that front. There's nothing wrong with questioning the defensive chops here, especially after passing on a first-round pass rusher for Penix. But I trust Raheem Morris to get the most out of this unit. He's been an excellent coordinator in his career, and there are some similarities to the LA Rams on this defensive roster. So I agree with you, MF. Atlanta finishes first, Tampa second, New Orleans third, Carolina 4, and it's just Atlanta winning that division. And by the way, when it comes to the AFC West, it's just Kansas City. I have no wild card teams in that division either. Next division, the division that came in at number 6, the NFC East. NFC East, loaded division. I got to be honest. It's a 2-horse race. It's either going to be the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles. But if I'm going to be honest with you, I got to take a chance on Dallas. I got to go with Dallas to win the division. The range of outcomes for the Cowboys this year is very wide. And, a lot of experts had them on their might miss the playoff model. And I have them actually starting a little slow out of the gate, going just 500 over their first 6 weeks. I believe before they catch fire, thanks to a fairly friendly schedule featuring lots of home games in the second half. If the offensive line does not fall apart, I trust Mike McCarthy to get the most out of Dak Prescott. The playoffs might be a problem, but he's won 12 games in 3 straight years. CeeDee Lamb is going to play, even if it's on a lame duck deal. Brandon Cooks is a decent number 2 option. Jake Ferguson is a semi-sneaky potential breakout candidate this year. And the running back room with Rico Dowdle may be better than anyone expects. My biggest concern is the defense with Dan Quinn gone, but Mike Zimmer has enough options on that side of the ball for a reclamation project. I got Dallas winning the division. I do have a wild card team coming out of it, and that team is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, thing is, I know a lot of people love Philly. I know Philly is one of the favorites, and rightfully so. But the only reason why I have a doubt is because it's in large part because of what I expect to be a slowish start for them. I still think of them as barely a playoff team, but it draws Green Bay and 3/4 of the NFC South to start before a bye in Week 5. They have a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, and even if he's an upgrade, there's some concerns after seeing the Chargers last year, plus the natural acclimation time. The loss of Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, the literal backbone of both the offense and defense, respectively, is kind of being glossed over this offseason. Howie Roseman did an outstanding job replacing the two ahead of time by drafting Cam Jurgens and Jordan Davis. But there's a chance this team starts a little slow as they adjust to all the changes. So I have the Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East. Philadelphia Eagles finish second as a wild card. Washington Commanders finish third, and the New York Giants finish fourth. So MF, NFC East, what says you?
Slight disagreement, but you're almost there. Philly 1, Dallas 2. They do get the wild card. Washington is 3, and yes, New York is in the gutter. I don't think there's really much more to say there. Anthony, it is yours.
The division that came in at number 5, the AFC South. Take a look at the AFC South. MF, all eyes on Houston, but don't sleep on Jacksonville either.
No, don't sleep on Jacksonville. Don't sleep on Indy either. I think Indy is going to be a sneaky team this year as well. But it is Houston. Houston was the biggest surprise last year. Nobody saw that coming. D'Amico Ryan, how the hell did you not get Coach of the Year? How the hell did you not get Coach of the Year? That's all I'm going to say. And then, of course, I mean, what is there to say? And then they just got better. They added so many new weapons to that squad. They're thinking Super Bowl. If you're Houston, you're thinking Super Bowl right now, and that's how crazy this is. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But I got Houston winning the division. I got in second place Jacksonville. I think Indy comes third, and Tennessee. Unfortunately, I think you guys are going to be the sacrificial lambs. You're going to come in dead last on this one. But Houston is getting through. I think Jacksonville will be good, but I think they're going to miss out on the playoffs. I don't know. I don't think they're going to get there. I think they're going to miss out. I think we're only getting one team out of this one too. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. There is a small disagreement. I'll get to that in a second. But I do agree when it comes to Houston. The sky is the limit for the Houston Texans, but the expectations could be a problem here. In my opinion, CJ Stroud is the second favorite MVP candidate in the entire NFL. Adding Stephon Diggs to the likes of Tank Dell and Nico Collins is just fun, and Joe Mixon could fit what this offense does well. It's hard to question the defense because of D'Amico Ryan's chops as a coach and because of his success everywhere he's been. They also added Danielle Hunter as a pass rush option and Kamari Lassiter in the secondary, with both guys getting good buzz this offseason. If Lassiter is a stud and Derek Stingley Jr. keeps developing, That is one filthy combination. My biggest concerns are honestly just the hype in the division. The Texans may just be ready to deliver on the former, and even if they don't max out their potential, I believe they will still win the AFC South. So I have them winning the division. I do have Jacksonville finishing second, but I have them as a wild card team. For me, MF, it came down between Jacksonville and the Chargers. I just think Jacksonville is a smidgen better, and here's why. Yes, the margins are going to be snug in a really tough AFC South. The Jaguars were the Texans this time last year, with Trevor Lawrence getting MVP hype and the Jags being considered a legit Super Bowl contender. They didn't even make the playoffs after collapsing down the stretch, but Lawrence was a lot more hurt than people realized. If he's healthy this year, the offense should be substantially better, particularly with the addition of Gabe Davis in free agency and Brian Thomas Jr. as a first-round pick. Defensively, the Eric Armstead signing was massive in the moment, but is maybe flying under the radar as we head into the season. Add in Darnell Savage, and they have 5 former first-round picks on the defense. It's time for this unit to produce, and the addition of Ryan Nielsen as defensive coordinator could be the jolt it needs. So I have the Houston Texans winning the AFC South, Jacksonville Jaguars finish second and get a wild card, Indianapolis Colts third, and the Tennessee Titans in the basement. The division that came in at number 4, and this one's personal for us because it's our division. It's the AFC East coming in at number 4. And you know where my heart lies. Until they lose it, of course, I have to go with my Buffalo Bills to win it yet again this year. And I know a lot of people, though. I know there's a lot of people who are going to say, oh, you're being a homer. Yeah, I may be being a homer. And I know a lot of people are really going to call me a homer with what I'm about to say. But it's my opinion, and it's my story, and I'm damn sure sticking to it. When I say Josh Allen is my MVP pick this year, and part of that is him having a division-winning, toss the team on my back season after the Bills traded Stephon Diggs in the offseason. The narrative here is the Bills will crater, and people seem to be rooting against them. I love Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. He came up huge when Ken Dorsey was fired, and he came in. He turned them right around. His play calling fits with these weapons. He's going to feed James Cook and continue to run Josh Allen in the red zone. The combo of Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, and Khalil Shakir with the potential for a massive breakout from Dalton Kincaid gives this offense a lot more upside than people are giving it credit for. Sean McDermott's noted this might be the best offensive line of his tenure in Buffalo, and I'm damn sure buying that dip. The Bills defensively have some pass rush concerns. Of course, Milano's injured. That's a huge loss. I get it. And they're also in the middle of changing over personnel. But I still trust McDermott to get the most out of this group. And Von Miller more now more than ever needs to be a much bigger plus than last year. In second, I had the Miami Dolphins finishing second, and I actually have them getting a wild card spot. And the reason why, very simple. The Dolphins made it rain this offseason, paying both Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill to kick off training camp, and Jalen Waddle earlier in the offseason. They've locked in their core on offense for the next few years, and this is absolutely a Super Bowl contender. If a few things break right, the offensive line needs to come together quickly ahead of Tua, with this run game setting up the lethal pass game. The perpetually underrated Raheem Mostert, second-year explosive back Devon Achane, and rookie Jalen Wright have them primed for big things that the line is cooking. Jonnu Smith was a sneaky yards after catch addition. The defense has big problems because of injury. Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are both going to be late coming back, most likely, and Christian Wilkins walked in free agency. The offense will need to carry things early in the season as it did last year. Not unfeasible. But the Dolphins also need to figure out how to beat good teams and win when it is cold. So, AFC East, I got the Buffalo Bills winning it. I got the Miami Dolphins finishing second and getting a wild card. I got the New York Jets finishing third. And sorry, Bullock, I got your Patriots in the basement. So, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. AFC East, MF, I know we're going to have some disagreements as this is our division.
Not as much as obviously, if I'm going to be professional here, you got the fight the correct four. I even got Miami getting a wild card spot. I think they're going to the playoffs, but I do believe right now Buffalo is the class team. However, we both got to keep our eyes on the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be a problem. I think they know that. I think everybody realizes that as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, that is a team that we do not want to see. The Jets are going to be a problem. They're going to be there at the end, and I think they might be the one that plays spoiler and deny what you're saying about everything going on here. So, yes, New England is going to be in the basement. They're going to be the worst team, no doubts in my mind. The Jets is like a Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what we're going to get. If the Jets are fully healthy, they could take the AFC East. Like, that's how good they really are. They could take the AFC East from Buffalo, from Miami, and they could leave us both in the cold. And we'd be pissed. But I kind of agree with you for now. I will go with Buffalo to win the division. I got Miami second, but I definitely got my eye on the Jets, very leery, and I'm thinking if they hit on all cylinders, we might be screwed. So there's nothing more to say, Anthony. It's yours.
The division that came in at number 3, the NFC West. MF, how's it look?
San Francisco wins division. Simple. I believe San Francisco is going to win the division. The second team I'll probably say would be the Seattle Seahawks here. Third place, this is tight though. I think the Rams will come in third, and I got Arizona in dead last. And the reason why is because the Rams, I don't know, they just feel like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Some years they're really good, other years they're going to be bad. Offensively, they're going to be fine. Puka Nakua, you've got Cooper Kupp, you've got Matthew Stafford, they're going to be fine. I'm a little leery about that defense. And now that Aaron Donald is gone, he retired, that might be big trouble. Seattle, I think, is going to be a little more better. I think they're going to be a little more polished. I think they're going to be a little more stronger. I like their defense a little more better than the Rams defense. That's why I think that they're going to be in second. But San Francisco is the top team in the NFC. I don't care what anybody says. San Francisco is a Super Bowl contender, and I'm going out on a limb right here, right now. San Francisco will be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl when it's all said and done. Anthony, it's yours.
This is the division we're actually going to have the most disagreements on. I actually have the Rams winning this division. I'm very high on them. Yes, I know MF and some others out there would say I'm bullish on the Rams this year. And yes, I am. It's because I think Matthew Stafford is set to have an incredible year, maybe more efficient than volume-based, thanks to the offseason upgrades Los Angeles made on offense. LA beefed up the run game on the interior by adding Jonah Jackson and Kevin Dotson. Colby Parkinson is one of the sneakiest additions in free agency and gives the team some fun athleticism at tight end with Tyler Higbee coming back from injury. Puka Nakua's preseason injury is a concern, but Cooper Kupp should be completely healthy to start the year, and Demarcus Robinson sets up as a really underrated third receiver in 11 personnel. Blake Corum is a perfect complement to Kyron Williams. I have massive expectations for this offense, especially when it will need to score more points to make up for a slightly worse defense after losing Aaron Donald and Raheem Morris. I do love adding Jared Verse and Braden Fiske as a combo to replace the former. I got the Rams winning the division, San Francisco second, and yes, they are a wild card team, absolutely. The Niners have one of the most complete rosters in all of football. They're coming off 3 straight years advancing to the NFC Championship game, including a brutal overtime Super Bowl loss to the Kansas City Chiefs back in February. They are rightfully one of the top Super Bowl favorites, but there is some cause for concern with the recent offseason developments. Christian McCaffrey suffered a calf injury that shouldn't be a big deal, but definitely has my antenna up. Brandon Ayuk still might get traded, or he might not. Trent Williams remains unhappy with his contract. There's just a lot swirling around the Niners. And this is a massive number for any team. The schedule isn't particularly brutal, but there are enough pinfalls where I think 11-6 is firmly on the table, especially if the NFC West ends up being as good as we think it could be. LA Rams win the division. San Francisco finishes second with a wild card. I got the Seattle Seahawks in third, and the Arizona Cardinals in fourth. The division that came in at number 2, the NFC North. And I got a good feeling about this one. I got to go with the Detroit Lions. Do the Lions have the best top to bottom roster in the NFL now? Maybe. I don't know. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have done an incredible job building out this Lions team to the point it would be shocking if the Lions didn't make the playoffs this year. Jared Goff and this offense played 3 games all year long outdoors. Yes, 3 total games outdoors. This could be fireworks, especially if Jamison Williams makes the strides Campbell indicates he could. Jahmyr Gibbs is lining up in the slot a bunch during camp, meaning we could get him and David Montgomery on the field together a ton. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Sam Laporta are studs. The biggest concern for the offensive output here would be the defense taking a big step forward, especially on the back end. Detroit's front 7 looks strong, but the secondary gave up a ton of pass yards last year, causing Detroit to invest. That may be bad for fantasy, but won't matter one lick for the Lions being a really great football team. Detroit wins the division. I got Green Bay finishing second and with a wild card. Another team with a massive range of outcomes depending on what the Packers get from Jordan Love this year. Love was a borderline starter for the first half of the season last year and a unanimous MVP level player the second half of the season. He's got piles of weapons this year in a brand new contract, so expectations should be high. The early season schedule is not easy, and starting the season in Brazil against Philadelphia is very unusual, but it would not be shocking if the Pack got off to a hot start and kept it rolling for much of the season. I'm bullish on Love with all his different weapons, especially so if Christian Watson stays healthy this season. The defense should be upgraded in large part because of Jeff Hafley joining on as defensive coordinator. Detroit Lions win the NFC North. Green Bay Packers second with a wild card. Chicago Bears third, and the Minnesota Vikings in fourth. MF, your thoughts on the NFC North, or as we like to call it, the NFC Norris.
I actually agree with everything you just said. Detroit wins the division. I think they are the brand new Lions. That's something I love the Pat McAfee show, and I've been loving what Detroit's been bringing to the table. So yeah, I've been a little bullish on Detroit for the last couple of years, and you know that, Florio, that I have been. So I believe that they will do it. I think they'll win the division. Green Bay should come in second. Yes, I do believe Chicago with Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. I think he'll have a breakout year, and I do believe he'll be the rookie of the year when it's all said and done. I think he'll come in third. And yes, Minnesota took too many hits during the offseason. I think they will come in dead last. So, Anthony, it is yours.
And our final division, and the division that the experts said that ranked as number 1, the AFC North. MF, your thoughts?
This is wild, man. I mean, you can pick anybody in this one. Every team could win the division. That's how good this is. And that's why this is so unpredictable. You could probably say maybe Baltimore is the slight favorite, but the thing is, Pittsburgh got better, Cincy got better, and even Cleveland got better. So it can go a number of ways. You could even, you know what? You could even make an argument where 2 or even 3 teams could come out of that division and get wild cards. Like you could have your division winner, and then 2 teams could come out of it with wild card spots. It's that crazy. Would I be shocked? No, I would not, because it has happened before, where we've had 2 teams in the same division getting wild cards. So I mean, dude, this is so tough. I'm gonna go Baltimore 1, but slightly. Baltimore 1. Man, maybe Pittsburgh 2, Cincy 3, and Cleveland 4. But again, because they're so neck and neck, that could flip easily. This is the hardest division to call more than any other division because you could legitimately see any one of these 4 win the division. That's how competitive this division is going to be. So, Anthony, it's yours. I'm not even sure about my 4, like I said, because any one of these 4 could win it. It's that wide open.
Absolutely. But I do agree with you. You have Baltimore winning. I agree.
I have Baltimore winning,
I have Baltimore winning it also, slightly. And so do I. There are lots of people projecting a lot of regression for the Ravens this year, in large part due to free agency attrition, as well as the departure of defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald. There's major and viable concern with the offensive line in front of Lamar Jackson as well. But I think Baltimore ends up being a fairly steady team that will surprise some people. Zach Orr takes over as defensive coordinator. He's highly thought of and should be able to minimize the drop-off from Macdonald. More concerning is the departure of guys like Patrick Queen and Geno Stone, particularly since those two left for division rivals in free agency. Offensively, this team could take a leap forward off of Jackson's second MVP season. It's his second year in Todd Monken's system, and it feels like his weapons could be improved. Zay Flowers is in his second year. The team is really high on Rashad Bateman, and the dual combo of Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely is pretty strong. The offensive linemen were all drafted in-house, and the Ravens are excellent at drafting and developing, so I think it may be less of a problem than people think. Second, and getting a wild card, I got to go with Cincinnati. The bull case for the Bengals is pretty obvious. The positive regression in terms of quarterback health. Joe Burrow's borderline injury prone at this point, but maybe that blonde wig he showed up to training camp with will ward off the evil injury spirits. Jamar Chase isn't practicing because of a contract situation, but I expect him to be full go. T. Higgins isn't happy about his tag, but he's going to play. Zach Moss and Chase Brown may be a sneaky, massive upgrade for Cincy at running back. The loss of offensive coordinator Brian Callahan is certainly a concern, but I think Coach Zach Taylor, who was calling plays anyway, and Joe Burrow at quarterback will be able to patch that problem fairly handily. Defensively, the Bengals were dead last in yards per play allowed last season. I anticipate an improvement there, even with DJ Reader out the door. Sheldon Rankins will help fill that void, and bringing back Geno Stone from a division rival should help the back end of this defense in a big way. Baltimore Ravens win the division. Cincinnati Bengals finish second and get a wild card. I actually have Cleveland finishing third, and I have Pittsburgh slightly in the basement. I mean, it's tough, but, that's how loaded this division is. So, so that's my story on that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our regulation portion of TXN Sports World. I know we didn't do all that many shows, during the off season. There was just a lot of things that, it was just a lot of very slow time in sports, to be honest with you. But that's all going to change starting next week and in the coming weeks. So we want to thank you all for tuning in and for your continued love and support. We very much appreciate it. So tomorrow night, 10:30, MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. Special Saturday edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Friday night SmackDown. And we will preview the AEW All-In pay-per-view. As far as the rest of the content goes, MF and I will put our heads together and MF will set up the rest of the future content tomorrow night. So with that, that will put the bow on this. So until tomorrow night, for the Cerebral Smack Talk, it's Anthony Floyo here for Good Old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock, and of course, always in forever, Didi Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up, Fortune Forest style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday, and until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the regulation season finale of TXN Sports World right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Floyo. So long, and bye, everybody. Bye.